Did you guys hear about that 911 operator who got a call at 3:30 in the morning from an abandoned funeral home? If you didn't, I'm about to play it for you. But please keep in mind, this is a funeral home where nobody is currently working. Cops drive by it later to see if anybody was there. It's abandoned, the lights are out, nobody's working, and you can just very faintly hear someone talking.
Hello, 911. This is Erica. How can I help you? Hello? Hello? Hello?
This is a case that not only makes me feel sick to my stomach, but also completely enraged simultaneously. And if you're a sensitive viewer, this one isn't for you. Meet Hugo Ferrer. Many of you will not know his name or his case, and honestly, I'm not surprised. I myself only became aware of his disgusting crime today. And as for media house coverage on the case, well, it's at a bare minimal. Hugo is a 37-year-old man from Valferdine in Carltonville, and he has been convicted of a heinous crime. On the 8th of June 2023, after an argument with the mother of his newborn daughter, he took the fully clothed infant and left the back room accommodation they shared in the old railway houses of Valferdine. In the short space of time that he was gone, he was brutally SAing his 8-day-old daughter. Yeah, I'll give that information a second to sink in. Later that day, he returned back with the injured infant, clothing missing. His girlfriend at the time, the mother of the child, then took the baby to the woman on the main house of the property. Shortly after, an ambulance was called along with the police. Hugo was arrested, and the infant would later succumb to her injuries on June 9th in Carltonville Hospital. Last year, he was sent to Sterkfontein Psychiatric Hospital for an evaluation. There, he was ultimately found to be fit to stand trial. He has been in custody in Polokwane since June of 2023, but only on the 7th of February 2025 did he finally plead guilty to the charges against him, namely murder and rape. The case has been postponed to the 25th of February for the preparation of a pre-sentence report. This document basically showcases the background of an individual in question to allow the court to ultimately decide on an appropriate sentence. As much as this case disturbs me, you know the drill. Keep your eyes on my feed and I'll be sure to keep you in the loop. Until the next one, Bella out.
This book written for pedophiles was so disturbing that the author was arrested. So this is Australian author Lauren Tesselin-Mastrosa. Lauren wrote under the nickname Tori Woods. Earlier this year, Lauren began promoting her new book, Daddy's Little Toy. And as you can see here, it had a full promotional rollout, and she was promoting this all across her social media. She claimed that the book was a sort of erotic retelling of the Cinderella story. But when people actually started reading the book, they were shocked and absolutely disturbed. In the book, the main character starts falling in love with a girl when she is only 3 years old. Keep in mind, at the time, the man who is falling in love with this child is fully grown, and it's very graphic and very disturbing. Now, this is shocking, but here are some quotes and excerpts from the book. Now, I highly encourage you to just see how disturbing this was, to pause the video and actually read some of this stuff. I mean, it is shockingly graphic and shockingly disturbing. And according to people online, this isn't even close to the worst stuff that was found in the book. This was a part of what looks to be some of the promotional materials. So people actually started talking about this, and it became a huge thing in Australia, and word eventually reached the Australian authorities. And so Australian police executed a search warrant on Lauren's home, and according to them, they, quote, obtained several copies of the novel to be forensically examined and charged her with possessing child abuse material, disseminating child abuse material, and producing child abuse material. Now, she has claimed that she is innocent and has said that her work has been completely misrepresented, but just reading those short quips, we know that that isn't true. Clearly, she knew what she was writing, and she knew that this was extremely disturbing. This wasn't an age gap romance, as she claimed, which I still find to be extremely disturbing, age gaps in general. This was straight up some sort of fanfic for pedophiles. Lauren's trial hasn't happened yet, but I'm very eager to see what happens here because this is a very unique case. But it's just so eerie and bizarre to see these promotional materials acting like this book was going to be some sort of big smash hit bestseller, when in reality we now know that it contains some of the most horrific stuff that's been published in the last, I don't know, couple years, decade.
Most people think this kid just got into some flour. But look closer. There's no mess on the floor, no footprints. The powder is only on his skin. And here's the part nobody talks about. After this video was taken, people realized that stairway wasn't even supposed to be there. Some believe he didn't walk out. He was placed there.
How much would they have to pay you to do underwater scuba diving in tight corridors like this? If you have claustrophobia, you're not going to be liking this video. Thalassophobia too. People do this for fun. Keep that in mind. They just put on their scuba gear and they just swim through little underground caves. Tight little corridors where they can barely get through. In the ocean. I'm smiling, but on the outside I'm crying. How do you know that a giant leviathan is not in that darkness right there? I have very mild claustrophobia, but these photos are literally disturbing me so much I'm having difficulty looking at them. I need to know what the thrill is. Number one, I'll never be a scuba diver. Number two, I would never go near underwater caves. Literally anything could happen. Like you could run out of air. This girl's not even scuba diving. She just has a mask on. I know this is a person, but it's giving me submechanophobia. I don't know why. Would you be able to scuba dive in underwater caves? Like imagine you're down there and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of oxygen. I have to go through this tiny cave that's unexplored. And you get stuck in there. I'm gonna have nightmares, man. I'm gonna have such bad nightmares tonight.
This woman's dog saved her from a skinwalker. What was this dog seeing that we couldn't see? I don't know, but dogs have a sixth sense or...
This guy set up a camera in his grandma's room, and what he saw the next day totally freaked him out. He wanted to make sure she was okay, so he placed the camera to watch her during the night. In the recording, you can see him putting her to bed and gently fixing her blanket. But the moment he walked out, creepy things started happening. His grandma, who was peacefully sleeping just a second ago, suddenly stood up and started acting like something had taken over her. She walked around the room, whispered strange words, and then stared right into the camera. Every time her grandson walked back into the room, everything stopped. She was lying in bed again, like nothing ever happened. But as soon as he left, the creepy stuff started all over again. The next evening, he checked the footage again. This time, the camera caught something even weirder. In the corner of the room, where there was nothing before, a dark figure appeared. It looked like it was watching his grandma, and whenever she got up, the figure faded back into the shadows.
There's a legend that originated in Alabama that affects every square inch of the state. And it's said that if you say "Call me Alabama" 5 times in a row while driving, his image will appear to you on the side of the road. His presence is also known to show up on TV screens. And at times, you'll hear his disembodied voice cut through the music on the radio. Unlike other Alabama paranormal entities, his lore actually starts in the early 2000s. He's been reported in over 3,000 locations and counting. And sightings are so common that people in other states have claimed to see him as well. It's said that he's most active around those who've had personal injuries or accidents. And he's not known to be malevolent at all, even though some people say his presence is unsettling. Mostly because not even sage and rituals can get rid of his presence. Almost to the point that he feels like he's an attachment to the land. Some people say that he's a symbol of luck and that when he's manifested himself, he's left them with thousands and thousands of dollars. Along with the Goat Man in Tuscaloosa and the Weather Wizard in Birmingham, he's one of the more popular legends in the state. And if you pay close attention, you'll realize that he's been watching you for a lot longer than you think.
The UK has just announced one of the most significant changes to jail terms in decades. As of today, they will be scrapping most short-term jail sentences, meaning the majority of criminals who would usually get up to a 1-year prison sentence will now receive no more than a suspended sentence. Now, the main reason, they simply don't have enough space. I mean, last year, they were even forced to release around 57,000 criminals early because of this, 262 of which were freed in error, including some convicted of sexual assault against minors. But now they're approaching it from the other angle too, and courts have been advised to stop handing out short-term jail sentences unless there are exceptional circumstances. Rehabilitation experts cited by the government argue that short-term jail sentences are ineffective anyway because they do little in reducing reoffending. They argue that community-based alternatives may work better and are now expected to become more of a central element in sentencing in the UK going forward. But the question is, do you guys agree with this decision?
This guy claims he reached a wind farm in the middle of the ocean, and if this is real, then he is in serious danger. And he doesn't even realize it. Because if he falls into the water here, he's not coming back alive. And no, it's not because of sharks or any sea creature. It's much worse. What he's doing in this video is actually illegal. This area is thousands of kilometers away from any land. No islands. No boats around. This is one of the only zones in the entire ocean where access is completely banned. They don't call it a wind farm for nothing. This place is as isolated as Point Nemo. He says it took him for hours just to reach these turbines. And without knowing, he did something he absolutely should not have done, because this is what these turbines look like when they're active. And if you think that's not so bad, just remember, the waves here can reach 2 to 4 meters high. This tiny boat wouldn't even get within 500 meters. It would sink instantly, but that's not even the main reason why falling into the water is deadly. These giant turbines generate electricity for over 3 million people. All that power is transported through underwater cables. And when those cables start to erode or break, something terrifying happens. Every living thing within 80 meters in the water dies instantly. Like the ocean turns into a giant frying pan of electricity. All fish, everything, just dead. Now imagine if these turbines suddenly started spinning again while he's right there. And here's the creepy part. Someone sent me this clip and they said he never posted anything ever again. Is there anyone who can confirm what happened to him? Follow me for more stories.
How would you feel if you fell in this lake with this massive shark sculpture in it? Guess what? There's 4 more. They're also absolutely huge, by the way. Why would you go anywhere near this? And here's what it looks like at night. Yay. This photo showing just how big this one is next to that people. Those people. You see, I'm flustered. This is a worse nightmare situation for me. How could you go anywhere near those things? I would fall off this board, whatever it is. They're in Hackney, a little suburb of London, and they're on the Leia River, and they like to just place them, like, all around the river. Like, why are y'all traumatizing people like this? Like, I know they have those boards under them, so, like, the actual sharks aren't in water, but I still would be terrified to fall in the water with those. Like, my submechanophobia just can't with these. I am terrified. I'll never understand the kind of people that will look at this and be like, that is so cool. I want to go near those. I want to take a picture with that. That's not me. So if you're scared of these two, you're not alone. You might have submechanophobia. Does this freak you out? Fake sharks in water, keep them away.
I can't believe this, but we may have gotten the trailer for what's said to be the scariest horror movie of this year, and it's not even close. The movie is called Hunting for Matthew Nichols. The story follows our main characters, Matthew and Jordan, who end up venturing into a forest in northern Vancouver. And of course, in horror movie fashion, they end up disappearing without a trace. But what makes the movie seem terrifying isn't because they disappeared without a trace, but it's shot in that documentary style. Interviews with parents, friends, people who actually knew these characters before they ended up going missing, and on top of it, they filmed everything they went through on a camcorder. camcorder. Now, just from the trailer alone, it is giving massive Blair Witch Project vibes. If you know anything about me, found footage, lost footage is all types of my favorite. And from the trailer alone, I can tell you it is not like a normal murderer. There is not someone just hiding out in northern Vancouver, unaliving people in the woods. No, this is going to be some type of supernatural-ish entity, and I genuinely think this could be terrifying. All in all, I am super excited because VHS and found footage are some of my favorite genres and subgenres of horror, and the movie is set to release April 10th of next month. Y'all already know me, I am going to be seated, and I've said it once and I'll say it again, as horror fans this year, we are being fed every single month, every which way possible, and I love it. Don't forget to like and follow for more.
Shift my paradigm.
Scientists said the odds of it happening were 1 in 74 trillion. While 34-year-old Ann Hodges was napping on her couch in Alabama in 1954, a softball-sized meteorite tore through her roof, bounced off her radiator, and slammed into her side, leaving a massive bruise but miraculously sparing her life. She had become the only confirmed person in history to be struck by a meteorite. The space rock triggered a legal battle between Ann and her landlord over ownership, but it ended up in Ann's possession. The rock is now on display at the Alabama Museum of Natural History. Tom Cruise divorced all 3 of his ex-wives when they turned 33, and each is 11 years younger than the last. In 2009, a retired policeman named Geraint Wolford was admitted to Abergele Hospital in North Wales. Amazingly, it just so happened that he was put next to another retired policeman named Geraint Wolford. The men weren't related, had never met, and were the only 2 people in Europe named Geraint Wolford. In 2004, Grandma Dorothy Fletcher suddenly suffered a heart attack on her flight to Florida. When the stewardess asked if there was a doctor on board, 15 people quickly stood up. It was a group of heart doctors on their way to a cardiology conference.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one 2-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Extremely sad, but true facts that will make you think. In 2012, the most requested Christmas gift by children in the UK was a father. Pigs can actually get depressed. Judith Barzey, who voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time, was murdered by her father before the movie was even released. And Tom Felton, who plays Draco Malfoy in the series of Harry Potter, had to bleach his hair every 10 days for just 30 minutes screen time.
Okay, only 5 minutes of doom scrolling, I swear.
Nothing beats it. Egyptians believed the most. That's my opinion!
Maybe I should do something productive.
Nothing beats it.
If you need anything, I'm literally just a phone call away, so don't be shy to call. Nobody bothered me now. Like, for the next 6 months. Dear universe, may I get hotter, juicier, thicker, with an endless supply of Prada. Oh, and please heal everyone in the world and make them happy and give them Prada too. Dear universe, am I being played? Dear universe, get rid of him. Hollander, come here, I have something for you. Are you a good boy, Hollander? Open mouth and put it in. Good boy, Hollander, good. Can you take a picture? I just want to see what I look like relaxing. Wait, do I look like I'm posing? Should I do like an over the shoulder? Just for my story? Ooh, I look so tea. The lion needs his slumber too. Rest well, divas. Post!
I can't believe this, but the families in Ready or Not and Ready or Not 2 are not just rich people a part of a cult. They're more like servants to an entire system of inherited evil. Think about it. The original family, we already know that if that hide-and-seek card was pulled, they had to unalive whoever was the new member of the family before sunrise or they would die. But throughout the whole entire movie, you can realize that they're not acting like true believers. They're almost acting like employees. This is something that they have to do or they die. And in Ready or Not 2, it's brought on a way bigger scale. Because everything they have, the mansions, the money, the power, the company, they're not really earned. They're almost like a lease. And the reason Ready or Not 2 is so crazy and what people don't understand is that these families that are trying to unalive our main character and her sister have to get it done because the original family failed. All of these families made the same and signed the same exact blood ritual contract with the demon. And the fact that they're still alive, their bloodlines are now up for the taking. And the demon that they made the deal with, they're not worshiping or loving the demon. They're terrified and trying to do absolutely everything they can before they not only lose everything, but lose their lives. And that's why the stakes in Ready or Not 2 for all of these families, they're not just hunting for sport, they're hunting to stay alive.
Morbid Facts, Part 314. In July of 2014, 53-year-old teacher Sharon Budd was in the passenger seat on Interstate 80 in Pennsylvania when a rock thrown from an overpass crashed through the windshield and struck her in the face, blinding her in one eye, shattering her skull, and nearly killing her. The rock had been thrown by a group of teenage boys who were engaged in a reckless spree, stealing steaks, smashing windows with bats, tearing through cornfields, and gathering heavy stones specifically to hurl at passing vehicles. After the impact, they laughed, cheered, and even returned to the scene twice more before being caught. All of them were eventually convicted, and several received prison time. The trauma completely upended Sharon's family, and 2 years later, her husband Randy, who had tirelessly fought for stricter overpass protections and campaigned for legislative change, tragically took his own life, apparently overwhelmed by the financial and emotional toll of the horrible incident.
Trust me, you might want to listen to your buddy. And run. Meet the leopard seal. These bad boys are, no doubt about it, the most dangerous seal in the world. In fact, it's the second most dangerous animal in the entire Antarctic region. And that's only behind the orca. Tells you something. First off, they're humongous. They get up to 12 feet long and 1,200 pounds. And they're fully carnivorous, which is kind of obvious when you notice the mouthful of daggers. They'll eat anything in their path. We're talking other seals, squid, fish, penguins, even a human. It's already happened. True story. Oh, And just in case you find yourself in water with them, they can also swim 25 miles an hour. In other words, you ain't getting away. It's like a torpedo with teeth. Moral of the story, if Happy Feet has taught you anything, it should be that this is a really bad idea. And as always, follow for more facts.
Waverly Hills Sanatorium. This is a place in Kentucky where very few people will still dare to venture. There is a lot of that has to do with just how twisted the history is. One of the darkest stories that ever came out of the sanatorium were the stories of the body chutes. This is very much real, and it was beneath the building. What it was, and as you can see, is it was basically a tunnel system that was constructed at the height of patient death. There were so many patients dying, at least one every single hour, that they had to figure out a way to get rid of all the bodies. In that underground system, they built a 500-foot-long tunnel. That tunnel had a conveyor belt where they were just funneling bodies out of the building. It is truly considered to be one of the most haunted places in the United States, and for sure in Kentucky. Which is why when I go to Kentucky, I always have my Kentucky After Dark passport. This thing is truly something that you can take with you to basically every paranormal haunted stop. There is something sinister that's occurred in the heart of Caddo Lake. An 8-year-old girl has completely vanished in or near the lake, which of course has left her family and loved ones completely devastated. This place is nestled within a remote and desolate swamp. Caddo Lake is shrouded in mystery. It's dark trees, murky waters, and there are countless hidden spots that would make it perfect for somebody to disappear. As the search for Anna continues, there has been a startling discovery. There are secrets buried deep within this eerie lake, far more than I think anybody could have imagined. Now, this chilling premise is the basis for the latest suspense and mystery film, produced by M. Night Shyamalan, premiering on Max Thursday, October 10th. Don't miss the stars Dylan O'Brien and Eliza Scanlon as they
No one realized that the wildest thing revealed in the Diddy documentary is what he does right after Biggie's death. We learn that Diddy wanted to give Biggie the greatest funeral possible, one New York had never seen before, and that's exactly what he did. The entire city showed up, except Kirk Barrows claims that Diddy turned the funeral into debts Biggie supposedly owed after seeing how much it would cost. Across all 4 episodes, Diddy repeats again and again that Biggie was one of his closest friends, maybe his best friend. So after gathering all of New York for Biggie, Diddy keeps presenting himself as a stand-up guy, but he never mentioned that the royalties Biggie generated after his death would actually be used to cover the funeral cost. And what comes next is even more dramatic. Biggie was supposed to be on the cover of the next issue of Rolling Stone, but Diddy called to have him pulled from the cover so he could take Biggie's place, just to promote his solo album No Way Out. But it doesn't stop there. Shortly before his death, Biggie was negotiating a new contract with Bad Boy, and he had succeeded. Except that after his death, Diddy allegedly asked his partner to alter certain terms, even though Biggie had already signed it, without anyone knowing. Kirk Burroughs said it wasn't right and he wouldn't do it. Strangely, 9 months later, he was fired. And meanwhile, Diddy was becoming the ultimate rock star, the one everyone loved without ever asking questions.